Levesey.
Here.
Rob Morrow.
Present.
Tyler Carmichael.
Here.
Rich McNeil.
Present.
Bob Susi.
Present.
Mike Delavecchio.
Here.
Louis Joseph.
Here.
Gail Ober.
Here.
Stacy Susi.
Here.
Charlie St. Clair.
Here. Thank you. And for staff tonight, we have Kathy Minchie, who's not here right now, but she'll be here quickly, and then Kalina Graham. And I think we've got everybody here. All the members are here tonight. We have Councilor Susi sitting in for Councilor Cheney. And Gail won't be voting tonight, I don't believe, because we have
No,
enough people.
if there's 9 of you, then
Yeah.
I am an alternate, so, and 9 including you, Charlie, so.
Okay. So the first thing we need to do is accept the minutes from the previous meeting. Look for a motion for that. Are there any questions on it?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Abstain.
That's right, okay. Thank you. So what I'd like to do is have a motion here to change the agenda around a little bit here. We have a couple of extensions that we can do relatively quickly. So what I would like to do is get a motion to change the agenda to move 7.1 and 7.2 up to the beginning of the meeting here tonight. If I get a
So
mo-
moved.
So moved. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, great. So let's take up 7.1. That's PL 2021-0099SP, 0100SU, 0101 Cup, 0102 Cup, my word, 0103 Cup, 0104 Cup, MBL 164-72-1 Endicott Street East. That's the Gardens at Weirs Beach. They're requesting an extension for the completion of the project. Thank you. Come on up.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Laconia Planning Board. Thank you for putting me first tonight. Appreciate that.
Yeah, can you just say who you are, please?
Jason Hill from TF Moran.
Okay.
I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Yeah, so as I have a plan, if it's necessary, or if you'd like, I can post a plan of the overall project, if you all.
I don't know that we need it. If you just explain why you need the extension.
Sure. Mainly due to two things. This was a kind of complex background on this site. There was a bankruptcy and subsequent sale closures, on the sale of the property. That activity combined with the COVID scenario, also coupled with just the absorption rate. So we got kind of started late on construction. Maybe we were aggressive without phasing the project initially. For the full 87 to be completed in a single year was pretty aggressive. So the absorption rate of these is coming online. These units, several are underway, or nearing COs being issued at the top of the site, at the top of the hill. If you're familiar with the site, it's just to the east of the Weirs traffic circle. So we've got several units coming online, construction's ongoing. We've got temporary stormwater controls and utilities put in. We plan on keeping with the progress, over the next few years, but because of the just sheer amount of units and what we're finding for the absorption rate with the delayed, start of construction, we'd like a full 5 years. I think I'm requesting a 4-year extension to 2027.
That'd be,
It says September 28th.
Excuse me. Yeah, but the year would be 2028.
2028.
for Project completion. And we anticipate that, the full build, including the off-site improvements, could be constructed within that time frame.
Any questions by anybody? Hold on a sec. Should we open this to the public on this? I guess we would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just hold on. I just want to know, is there any questions here while he's standing right here?
Kathy, at what point do they become significantly vested in the property and no longer required to come back for an extension?
Well, that's the problem. There's nothing in the board's land use regulations that defines that point. And that's one of the things that I would be proposing when we get to talking about revisions to those ordinances. So typically, in the absence of a definition in the municipalities' regulations, I typically rely on RSA 674-39, which is the 5-year exemption, which allows, it's a two-tiered definition. If they have achieved active and substantial development within 24 months after the date of approval, then the law guarantees them a period of 5 years from the date of approval. So what they're requesting exceeds what they're guaranteed in state law, but the state law is the absolute minimum that they would be entitled to.
So we could, if we so desired, we could approve it for the September 5th, 2028 that they've
Yes, you
proposed?
could.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. We'll open this up to the, somebody,
I just want to
go ahead, Stacy.
bring to mind the extension policy. And some of the things that bother me about, not necessarily in this project, but perhaps a smaller project, when you go beyond a year, there can be a whole lot of changes. And we're talking, there could be development at the next site, zoning ordinances could have changed. Does it still fit in the character of the neighborhood, traffic? All these things can change extremely in 5 years. So I think it does need to be considered on, yes, a big project like this, 5 years might be reasonable. But is that fair to the person in a single-family home who would like 5 years? Where a lot of things could happen in 5 years.
Well, they can keep coming back. I mean, we've had,
Right,
we've had people
but I'm
come back year
saying,
after year after
I
year.
just feel like it needs to be brought up. The conservation person in me is thinking of wetlands and other things that grow with time or shrink with time. We don't know. So I just wanted to make sure that that was thrown out there.
Okay, so we'll open this up.
Across
to
the street from the power substation.
Another question, please.
What's that?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not being totally familiar, where is this located actually?
So you go up, you go to the rotary there, at Weirs Beach, you take a right, going up past the post office and towards Guilford. It's just at the top of the hill on the left, right there,
You know where the power substation is?
I know we're talking about,
right across the street there.
we've had a lot of discussion over roads and stuff
Yep.
like that. Okay, when was this previously approved?
2021.
2021 for 5 years, right?
Probably 3. If they're asking for an extension now, I'd have
5
to
more
look, but,
years.
which is permissible by law, state law.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna open it to the public hearing, or public comment, hearing no objections, at 6:42. So somebody had a question, but come on up. Just give us your name and address, please.
Anne Marie Samaco, 155 Endicott Street East. I live across the street from this development that's going in. They've torn up my lawn, and it took me months to get them to finally seed it, and it's still not right. They tore up the sidewalk in front of my house. I've been calling the town hall. I've been calling everybody to try to get it repaved again. And also, they put a street in right across from my house, which I was told it's supposed to be a private, only for fire trucks and ambulances or something. But I have people going in there all the time, and headlights are coming into my eyes all the time. And any room I stand in my house, I've got headlights in my face all day long and all weekend long.
You have a
People
side-
are using it as a turnaround
On your property?
right across the street from me.
That's where the turnaround is.
Yeah.
You have a sidewalk in front of your house there,
I
on that
do.
side of the
It's
road?
torn up. It's been torn up since the summer because the water department had to hook them into the water.
Okay. Have you approached the planning department about this, or
I've been calling. I've been calling since July,
with your concerns?
yes. And I spoke to the people across the street. I've spoken to the owner, I guess Mike. I've spoken to Kevin across the street. They keep telling me, next week we're gonna do it, next week we're gonna do it. Well, this was July and now we're into November.
This is the first I've heard about this, but I would recommend, if you probably have been doing this, but make sure you take pictures of all this stuff, where your damage that you're saying is happening to your property and stuff like that, because there's a relatively long time limit to go after damages for, for stuff like that.
I just want my grass
Sure,
back, and
I
just
understand.
want
But if they don't do it, I'm just saying, so you can show that this has been done. But go ahead, Bob.
You said the water department tore up your sidewalk to
Yeah.
connect them to the water system?
Yeah.
Okay, did the,
I called the water department. They told me it's not their responsibility to put the sidewalk back.
they tore it up,
Yes,
and it's the way it was and they tore it up? They tore it up, is what you're saying,
it was torn up.
okay? The water department
the
tore it
water
up,
department-
connected this new development to the water system.
Yeah.
And the water department did not repair what they tore up.
Correct.
I suspect that Counselor Susi is going to follow up on that for you.
I will somehow, before you leave, I just need a name and phone number, okay?
Okay, any other questions?
You could probably leave your contact information with
Yeah.
Kalina there.
Okay. Okay?
Thank you, duly noted. I want to recommend everybody here, speak into your mic a little bit, because it's hard to hear you in the back. Is there anybody else from the public that would like to comment on this applicant? It's a request for an extension. Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public comment at 6:45. What does staff have to say about this recommendation, or with any recommendation of this, besides what you already read, Kathy? Yeah.
Well, my recommendation was that it be extended to the extent allowed in the state statute. So it would be 5 years from their original approval date, which brings us out to, let me see,
September,
September.
2026.
September 7th, 2026, which is a shorter period of time than what they've requested. They've requested September 5th, 2028. The minimum is the state statute. If the planning board is, you want to discuss extending it beyond that minimum that is required by state law, that's your decision.
Can I get you back to the mic, sir? You heard the comments there from somebody across the street. Is that, you're in charge of the project?
We're the engineer of record.
You're the engineer of record. So can I get you to pass on to who's ever up there on a daily basis to look to that property across the street and see exactly what's going on?
I can advise the owner of that. I can say that there was a surety bonds in place that, with the city
Yeah.
and others, that would pay for any of that should the project fail or what have you. There's
Sure.
measures in place to ensure that those improvements are completed.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that because we love to keep everybody happy here. And I can certainly understand the concern of a neighbor if they feel their lawn's being torn up and stuff like that. It gets very concerning. So I'd appreciate that, or I do appreciate that, you passing that on. Thank you.
Will do, sir.
I just wanted to get you up there as a matter of record on this, so thank you.
And then, yeah, so that's.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody else have any questions on this or comments?
Mr. Hill, if I'm correct, there was gonna be one entrance that's gonna be used, and the other entrance was just for emergency vehicles, correct?
That's correct.
Are they using that emergency vehicle entrance now? Is that why
I have not
Marie is upset?
been involved with the construction and oversight. We do some erosion control monitoring. But I don't recall any specific discussion at the planning board where that was prohibited from being a construction entrance in my memory. I do know that there is proposed to be a fence put in along the east side of the property that's not gonna be opposing the driveway, but the finished condition will be a fire gate that'll have to be, once they're, at some point in the completion of the first phase, that'll be gated off permanently for only fire department. That second access drive, the
Correct.
eastern access drive, I think it's called Wren Lane, I recall, will be gated permanently.
No, is
Such
that the
that
one
there-
facing Mrs. Hill's property?
That's
I'm
facing
sorry,
Santoro's property.
Anne Marie's property?
Yes, and there are only 3 houses on that site, so you won't have a lot of,
Because I don't think she
Headlight
should have to
activity.
wait till 2028 to
No,
have them
that'll
stop
be,
using that driveway.
that's, upon the completion of phase 1, I believe, is when that has to be gated. The specifics of that gating sequence,
Any idea when that would be? Phase one,
it's
when it would
32
end?
units.
Any idea when that would be, potentially?
It's based on the absorption rate, so it could be 2, it won't be this year, because we've only got several in. Most likely, within a year or by the following year.
Well, maybe they can do something temporary to mitigate that
I'm just
aggravation.
not sure about the fire department's actual, they want multiple access points open to them during construction. And that's why I can't say for certain what point Mr., the fire department chief had deemed that we had to have the gate closed, just because he wanted access, even though he could have access vis-à-vis the gate. I can look into that. you
I'd
know,
appreciate
gate
that, and maybe
condition.
somebody from downstairs can take a peek up there and try to move that along, because it does seem cruel to drag it out any longer than possible. I know all about lights in the house. If you can, again, mitigate that, that's a good thing. So, okay,
Do.
Yep.
Will do.
anything else from anybody? Okay, I would entertain a motion, one way or the other, on this extension request.
You have to pick a date.
I was gonna say,
I'd
are you
like to say
doing,
about that,
We're gonna,
if you don't mind, just
I'm sorry?
I'd like to just state about this extension request and the reason for the 5 years that I was asking, just, I mean, the applicant's invested a lot of money in this project. They don't anticipate anything going sideways, but based on the history of this project becoming over the decades, you know, the history to date, the amount of money that's been invested in good faith, we would like to secure this for a reasonable amount of time based on the amount of units we're developing, just to ensure that we're protected from unforeseen or not changes in the ordinance, that it's basically related to the size of the amount of units and the anticipated absorption rate, which we're asking for the extended, you know, time request.
Well, personally,
With all due respect.
I have no problem with the extension. I'm just more concerned about your neighbor up there and try to mitigate that aggravation, because 5 years goes by quick, as we all know. And it may seem like a long time, but unfortunately, it's not. So, go ahead, Bob.
I agree with you on the extension, but I'd like to make a condition that they gotta take care of the neighbor. You know, a happy neighbor is gonna go a long way
It sure is.
also, because that same word, that same situation is gonna flow through to the people who are gonna wanna buy the homes that are in there, okay? So I'd like to see that neighbor become happy with, and I'm gonna talk to the water department, okay, about fixing that, or whoever's supposed to be responsible for that. The lights, put a wooden fence up if you need to across the street, okay, or do something. make,
And
let's get us
patching
a
up the,
happy
and
neighbor.
patching up the sidewalk.
Well, patching up the sidewalk, getting the grass, plant trees, I don't care, but do, you want a happy neighbor, and it's like a happy wife is happy life, happy neighbor's gonna make your happy business.
So, is that,
We want to keep everyone happy as well, so.
is that a condition we can add to the extension? Okay. So,
Any conditions you
I want to make sure.
I
So,
make the motion,
so you're making a motion to make that a condition?
condition, please.
Okay, did everybody understand what that condition was? Kalina?
I'm
No,
still
okay.
not clear on the
Okay.
year.
Okay, so if I may, I'll try to
Please.
make it very clear. Mrs. Hill, is that is that?
No.
Anne Marie?
It's Anne Marie, I didn't get her last name.
Okay, Anne Marie, just to make sure that I'm clear, okay, you wanna get your sidewalk taken care of, you wanna get your grass growing hopefully next spring, snow's coming now, and you wanna do something about the lights that are coming into your window, right? Are those really the three major, those are the three major things, thank you. I have the same problem with the other meetings.
Yeah, I know.
So if we can get those as far as the condition, you'll be okay. Okay, I wanna,
How would I address the light condition? I mean, that's what I mean.
I really don't know,
That
because
was
I'm not
designed-
there.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
that was something that was designed and approved, you know, as a,
No, she's talking about headlights coming in from people driving out.
Well, they're driving out,
Yeah.
if I may, excuse, Mr.
They're
Chairman.
using the wrong driveway.
They're
it sounds
using the
like.
wrong driveway.
Right.
That's what she was bringing up, is they're not using the right driveway.
So you're
The
talking about
driveway they're
construction
using was
traffic.
supposed to be for fire and emergency vehicles.
and you're talking about they're using, you mean the construction company, or are you talking about any and all? Okay,
Construction company.
thank you.
Can we prohibit that, that roadway from being used for construction traffic?
Either that or make it one-way going in.
one way the other way.
Yeah,
Just
that would
make it
be more
one-way
flexible,
going in.
Because we don't want to put too much traffic on
Right.
the new pavement that we're putting in, so we
Sure.
want to be able to,
But if you make it one-way going in, that'll take care of the lights
I think
coming
that-
out.
that should be fine.
So go ahead.
We have Wes here. Do we want to ask him about the sidewalk?
No.
Or, okay.
No, they're gonna take care of it.
No. So, is everybody clear with the, suggestion by Counselor Susie?
I'm still not clear on the year.
It's 28.
28 is what they've requested for, the minimum would have to be 26.
So we would have to go at least to 26, but they're requesting 28.
So I will tell you, they are moving very quickly, building COs, like, just,
Thank you.
So you believe the substantial
Let's see.
construction
Are
clause
we-
has been met?
Are we clear with the condition? Okay. So there's a motion been made on that condition. Is there a second? Truly.
I'll make the,
It's the
I'll
second,
second
you're
it.
gonna second it, okay.
and that's just for adding the conditions?
That's correct.
not the extension at all, just.
No,
condition.
just not the extension, just the condition. So, all in favor of that?
Do we have to, oh, okay, never mind.
Okay, no opposition, so that's with no opposition. Okay, so now we're gonna vote on the actual extension. And they've requested to year 28, and,
Fifth.
Yeah,
okay,
2028.
2028.
Does anyone have any issues with that date? I don't understand what the,
We're having a discussion on that now, so go ahead.
no, I'm not, this isn't my world, right? So I don't understand why we,
Would have a problem.
Would have a problem with it,
My
yes.
only concern would be because the property has wetlands. That's my only concern,
and what is your concern with the 5 years about those wetlands?
because a lot can happen in 5 years. They can grow, they can shrink, you could get an endangered species that goes in there.
They should be monitoring that as part of their approval process. And if we change the ordinance, and make it more restrictive, and we shoehorn them into having to meet that new requirement, they'd almost have to redesign a project after they're substantially completed. I feel like it would be more appropriate to give them the approval and at the 2028 and let them finish, as opposed to making them change a design halfway through a project. I feel that would be more irresponsible and wouldn't put out a good image for the city.
Go
I have
ahead.
One more question,
Sure.
please. Okay. On the approval, I know this came in front of the planning board before, but at the city council level, and I'm glad Wes is here, we've been having a lot of discussion because a lot of developments up in that area were done years ago, and they were done so the roads and things are not done to city standards, and we're gonna end up holding the bag, trying to fix it later on, years from now. And I'd like to know if you can answer the question, are the roads, sewers, and all being done to city standards?
No. The roads have been designed to city standards in terms of their width and cross-section. These are private roads. We're proposing private roads. The sewers are individual pump systems from each of the units, which we worked with Wes and the state to do. You know, they're effectively used in municipal networks throughout New England and America, but, so we don't have a typical, I believe the cross-section was basically the standard typical city section with a 24-foot road, 5-foot sidewalk and curb, and although I think the curbing was bituminous curb, and the city may require alternative curbing materials, so I think it was, to say it was designed as a city in accordance with the public streets of the city of Laconia is not exactly true. But no, it was not proposed to become a public street.
So this will, I want to make sure, because we've been having this lately, and I'm glad our mayor is here and also another
It
couple
is
of
being
city
reviewed
councilors.
by the city. I'm not to interrupt, sir. The city has inspectors, full-time inspectors on site evaluating the water and road system
Okay.
to conform it meets the plan specifications. So the
Okay.
city has actively a part in,
Okay, now is this going to be private roads, or the city is not going to plow?
correct,
No, collection of garbage,
none.
and the only transportation on the city would be for emergency vehicles if needed on those roads, or from
That's
the
correct.
city's point of view.
And I think it's open to public for the sidewalks. It'll be open to the public, but
Okay.
there's no public maintenance being requested. It's a condominium. It'll all be maintained by the association. That has been recorded at the AG's office and recorded at the registry, including all the condominium instruments that outline that, and have also been reviewed by the city attorney subsequent to the final approval at the final hearing for the subdivision.
Thank you. It's just that lately, we've been having a number of these problems pop up from years ago, and I'm just trying to,
Yeah, I remember talking about it a lot, I think, at the planning board, like with Sandown and certain things, whatever, the case may be.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So once they're substantially committed, what does that mean for the expiration date?
Well, there's a couple of different standards. You have active and substantial development, that has to be attained within a 24-month period. And then that allows the developer to continue the project free of any zoning, subdivision, or site plan regulatory changes. They're guaranteed to be exempt from those for 5 years. Then there's also the point at which a developer becomes vested in the project. And once he's vested, then he would be exempt from any changes up until the point at which he completes. Unfortunately, there's nothing in the city's
That defines that.
subdivision or land use, site plan regulations that defines the point at which active and substantial development has been attained and at what stage is an applicant vested.
But is there- is
So we
there-
just have to go by what's in the state statute?
Pull your
and
mic up so we
if
can-
you wanna go for the 2 years beyond that the applicant is requesting, that's certainly within the discretion of the board.
Right.
But I think that, looking at the long term, I think that it probably is in the city's best interest to define what active and substantial development is, and to define at what point a project becomes vested.
Well, I get that, but I'm wondering, is there a general standard of what vested looks like in other,
Well, they wouldn't be.
because that's what they would probably argue if they had to go to court.
They're probably not at the vested stage yet. I would say that they would meet the requirement, the state requirement for active and substantial development. Their drainage system is in. They've posted site security bond or cash, I'm not sure what form they posted it in. They have got their some preliminary road work in. They are actively under building construction up there. So I think that they are definitely at that stage where you could say that they have attained active and substantial development. But we'll get something into the regulations that will define it very clearly going forward, if the board wants. I'll make a recommendation and the board can act on it.
Anything else from anybody? So we're looking, we don't have a motion on this yet, I don't believe. So we're looking for a motion on this extension. And you can come up with it.
Kathy, did you want to
Yeah.
give a recommendation?
She did?
She did.
Well, and, I just said that it's really up to the board. The minimum is gonna be what's required by state law, and if the board wants to go beyond that, we're talking 87 units of housing.
Right, but the minimum is 26,
Minimum is September of 2026.
and they're asking for 28, so
And they're
pick.
asking for 28.
So pick one, everybody, go ahead.
Why, the way houses are selling, why do we need the extra 2 years? You know, why can't we, why do we
Market
have to give them
changes.
2
You
more?
you don't, they're asking for it, so.
But
make
why
a-
is it required, Mr. Hill?
We want to ensure a successful project. We've invested a lot of capital. We'd like.
But why wouldn't you want to hurry up, get those houses done and get them sold?
We do. I hope I hope it's built out next year, but based on the absorption rate, we've been out there since, I don't know when they broke ground, was it in the spring? Or last fall, somewhere, and they've got, I think, 6, 7 foundations in, and those units aren't complete. They're still there's a few that are ready for CO, I understand. So that's, in a year, we're getting in the range of a 5 to 10 in a year right now, let's say, based on that math. So if you divide 87 by 10, even 20,
I mean, if they can.
the math, I'd like to be flexible and have it realistic based on the absorption rates we're seeing.
If
That's what
they
we-
can finish it sooner, they'll finish it sooner,
We
that's
have
all.
obvious economic, reason to finish early. We just would like to secure that additional time to ensure a successful project.
Very good.
How about a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the extension until September 5th of 2028.
Second,
Is there a second?
second.
Second? Okay, so now we can discuss this motion. If anyone would like to discuss it or has any more questions of each other.
I said my piece.
28 seems so far away.
I wish it was,
By
but
making it 26 instead of 28, it sort of urges them to get pouring foundations. Let's get going.
I would
Get
agree.
the project finished.
But
So-
my guess is, Mike, is that no developer is gonna drag things out any longer than they have to, because it does cost them money. So my guess is if they can get it done quicker, they will do that. I mean, who wants to drag stuff out? They wanna sell it as fast as they can and get it built as fast as they
At
can.
86 units over 5 years. We're talking 1,200 units at the state school. It'll take forever.
Well, the state
to
school will
finish.
take forever. Okay. You
We
can
got a-
vote against
We got a
it.
motion, we got a second.
Yeah, so but I appreciate your comments, I really do, as does everybody else. Anybody else? Okay, all in favor of the motion on the floor, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the affirmative, all opposed? 1, 2 opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, we have one more extension. Let's see how long we can get this one done quicker, hopefully. This is for PL 2014-0158 CUP Amendment 2, 205 Wentworth Cove Road, Lot 8. They're requesting to extend the approved deadline for the the completion of the project according to the notice of decision. And I just want to say, don't worry about how much time we take, I'm just trying to move things along. But everybody's comments are well appreciated by everybody, so thank you again. All right, so looking for somebody to come up and talk about this.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Jessica Christopher, and I live next door to this property at 203 Wentworth Cove Road. And we are currently in the process of working out a PNS to purchase the property, so the person who owns it has me here as a representative to request the extension.
Does anybody have any questions?
How long's the extension?
How long are they asking for an extension? That's a good question.
I, off the top of my head, do not know what the Remingtons asked for. They reached out to me on Saturday and asked if I would be able to come here. I have the paper in front of me, but
2024?
I
It's on-
think it's every year that he has been coming to
Okay, I
apply.
might have an answer over here. What's that?
November 7th, 2024.
Thank you.
Yes, a
Apparently,
year.
it's written down there.
Okay.
So November
November.
7th,
Says 6, but
2024, so 1 year. Thank you. Good question, though.
Does that give you enough time to get the purchase and sales agreement and then build something there?
We already worked through a house design, and we worked with the surveyors that John Remington had used before. So we know that what we would like already fits. We just had to push the builder out because the purchase and sale agreement was going back and forth. So I think,
Okay.
don't you think we can? Yeah,
Okay.
that's my
I just
husband.
want to make sure that you were good with that date.
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay.
All right, done.
Okay, thank you. We'll open up public commentary, public hearing at, I thought that said 9:10, 7:10. Is there anybody in the public that would like to address this? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 7:10:30. So we got a few seconds in there. Thank you. Okay, any commentary or questions for the staff or anybody here? Okay, look for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Motion to accept the extension for November 6, 2024, under finding that there's no cost to the city. That's fine.
Second that.
it's been seconded. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll vote on it. All those in favor of granting the extension? 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's unanimous. Thank you very much. And thank you. Okay. Now we will go back to the agenda here. And this is 6.1 PL 2023-0091 SP 0092 CUP Park 0093 CUP Performance Zoning at 17 Bay Street. And this is the proposal to construct 12 efficiency apartments with associated parking and utilities.
Sorry.
Have I said something wrong?
Well, I thought we were doing Brittany Lane next.
No?
No,
Just the
okay.
two extensions.
Tried to cut my feet right out there.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's because I make mistakes, so not a big deal. Okay, so we're gonna discuss this application now. I'll pick up where we picked up before. So, open the floor here for any comments from the board members. Go ahead, Councilor Susi.
Mr. Chairman and the board, first, I'd like to thank the board very much and I take the place of Councilor Cheney for this evening. I think we had a very good discussion in the previous meeting with the legal for advice. I'd also like to express gratitude to our, I know his president, the mayor, and some of the residents from Bay Street, and also people probably from Laconia Development. And that I've seen this letter come today, the last couple of days, that they've been working together to try and find a solution. There's been some give and take, I think, on both sides. I think that's enormous, okay? I know that we've been faced, based upon the letters we've gotten from outside legal teams and our own internal legal teams, that one way or the other, this is gonna end up in some kind of a litigation. And in my simple mind, the only people that make out there are the lawyers, okay? They could keep dragging it on for as long as they can. So, and really, I mean, I commend people on both sides of an issue. I think it's awesome they've been able to try to work things out. So my request to the board right now is that we table this and we ask the people who are involved in this to get back together. And I know that even myself, Councilor Cheney, the mayor, I'd be willing to sit down with them and see if there's a way we can work this out instead of going to litigation, because no matter what we decide here, it's gonna end up there. I'd like to be able to come back and everybody got together and say, hey, we've worked this out. I know there's been a lot of this and this back and forth. We want to do something. We want to support the community. We want to listen to the residents. I know that the city council that represents that area, Councilor Haynes, I know that he would agree with me with this, but I think this would be the wisest thing to do. It might put it off till our next meeting, or to, month or whatever it is like that, but I think they've gotten very close. And so that's my request, my motion is to table this, give it back to the teams, even if there's some representatives there and we get together and do this, or let them work it out. They've got to, because if not, they're all living together. Okay, we all know that we've got a problem here in the city. We're trying to help. The mayor's task force is awesome. We've only faced with one thing, and it's the parking situation and stuff with this, but we know it all has reflection upon everything else. We're adults, we can work this thing through. I don't think we need to try and light a fire somewhere. That's my request.
I don't know, I know when there's a motion to table, it seems like that's non-debatable.
Non-debatable.
On the council, is that how we would do it
Only if
here
it's
too?
seconded.
It would have to be
Request a
seconded?
second from someone.
All right, is there a second for that motion? Going once, going twice? Okay, it fails for lack of a second. Okay, well, let's move on then. Does anybody else have any commentary on this?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Use your mic.
We've been kicking this around for 3 or 4 months now. It's time to approve this project. I've been on the planning board for 8 or 9 years, and many big projects have come through. This is not a giant project, but never has the mayor come before the board and requested that we approve a project until this one came along. And that means something to me. This is good for the community. Any perceived harm to the neighborhood is minuscule compared to what the good is gonna happen here. Parking is not an issue. Let's not use that for an excuse. Density is really not an issue. Let's not use that for an excuse. Let's approve this project right now and be done with it.
That it? Anybody else have any comments? I see Rob over there moving his mic.
I do want to express my concerns with this project. I think that parking is an issue. Unfortunately, I think that it'll be passed regardless if we approve or disapprove it tonight. The courts will ultimately approve it, and parking will be forced upon us. I don't like I don't like that. I think that we should rethink performance zoning and add some more safeguards in there for the city. I think that we need to be more vigilant as a board, though we ultimately do need this housing. I think that we could have, or as a community, could have addressed it better than what it has been.
Did you print those out?
I did.
Could you pass those around? I was just looking for it, and I thought, wait a minute.
There are two emails
Oh, I
that
got those, I
came.
printed them.
I'm not sure you do, but maybe you do. There's two of these, right? Two for
There's-
everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Bruce, did you want one, or you?
Yeah, I'll take
looking at
one.
it?
all right, so I just passed mine down there, which is gonna end up with Amy. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
See that you've got one.
That's the one I got. Oh, this one, yeah, I got that.
You have that one? And then this one?
So I think Counselor Susie might be right when he says that this will probably, or it may end up in litigation, or perhaps Rob said that. And that may well be. Some people have dug their heels in it, and, which is their right to do. But I did want to, I know that in the several meetings we've had on this, there was some concerns mentioned by some people about what they perceived as lack of security. I believe there's going to be some people there during a day. I think maybe it was 8 to 4. But we did get an email from the applicant, and I just want to quickly go over these so people know this. So the building will now be equipped with a security camera system monitored by LRCD and LRMHC, which will enable them to document any behaviors or address any issues with tenants. And they're gonna have that, one of those groups, Mobile Crisis Response Team and Emergency Services, prepared to respond to any crisis 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then anybody can call or text as a number which I would imagine will be put out for the public, which will be connected to people that can help, professionals that can help and give immediate support, or dispatch somebody there immediately, the response team. The supportive services provided Monday through Friday to the tenants are another form of security, and they're there designed to help tenants. I'm not reading every word here, but I'm reading what I feel is important. And then the staff will check the building every day, Monday through Friday, to ensure any maintenance issues are addressed promptly. That obviously wouldn't have to be done during the weekends. And they said that's easy, that's gonna be easy because their office is 100 feet away. And then their staff will meet monthly to evaluate in real time how things are going and adjust or add to these measures as needed. I wanna remind everybody in the neighborhood, if this does pass, that they certainly can stay right, and I'm sure they will, stay right on top of things and reach out, whether it's to the planning department, the office there that's up the street, the police department if needed, the fire department if needed, and voice any concerns that they're having issues with or they feel there's gonna be issues with. Again, that's if this goes through. But I think it's, I know Councilor Susie made mention of people trying to work together on this and answer a lot of the issues, and I believe he's right. and this is what needs to keep going. Go ahead.
My only question on this, what you just said, Charlie, is perfectly fine. And I think this, what happened, really addressed what Councilor Cheney was trying to bring up, and he
That's
should be
correct.
applauded for that.
He
But at the
should.
same time, what recourse is there? No, because I'm trying to bring forth the questions I'd hear from the audience, or from the neighbors. If things go sour, what recourse is there? There is none.
Well, if there's a problem, whether it's in my neighborhood or your neighborhood or anybody's neighborhood, if they're having issues with neighbors and it gets kind of crazy, that's when you call in whatever department you need to call to address the issues.
I agree with you, we need it. We need the housing, we need to do this. I just want to
Well,
make sure.
I'm just saying that everybody, no matter, I mean, I can have a problem with somebody next door to me, and if I feel it's out of my domain to address it, I'll call in somebody to help that has that.
Because one of the things that came up at the previous meeting is that this is basically allowable now for what, 99 years?
I think that's something that we talked about, one of the conditions that will,
That could be, well, the income restriction on, to make sure that it doesn't convert to a market rate property. That was a discussion with regard to the parking.
right.
And by keeping it income restricted, a certain percent of median income or less would help alleviate some of the parking concerns.
Charlie, one more statement, please?
Sure.
Because I believe the planning board, as a planning board, we can't get into who's gonna be there and everything else like that. We have two real factors. One was parking, the other was safety. Am I correct?
I don't know about the safety thing, but parking was big, and I think there was the trash and
Oh,
density,
dens-
that sort of thing.
And I know that was the real feeling of Councilor Cheney when that's why I was pleased to see that the
Oh, you're
Lakes
talking
Region
about-
Mental Health
yeah.
is gonna do these things, okay?
Yeah.
And I think that was a good step in the right direction.
I agree. So we have some recommended conditions of approval, which you should all have. Does anybody want to take any of these up as a recommendation?
Do we want to take items in order, starting with the waiver?
I think so. If you want to start the ball rolling, if you want to. If not, then somebody else can do it.
I'm going to make a motion to deny the waiver for the impact fees, as we have been consistently denying everybody a waiver for impact fees, as the city needs the funds to support vital city programs and infrastructure improvements.
I'll second that.
Any other comments on that? That's a motion.
You know, we've denied impact fees for private developers right downtown here. And I did not agree with it. But when you're dealing with a community a housing authority for the benefit of the underprivileged, they are the ones that deserve an impact waiver. Not a private developer that's building.
So you're not talking about the individuals, you're talking about the actual developer or people that are building the building.
No. There's contractors in town that buy a building for $1 and we waive the impact fees. This is a community good building, and if anybody's eligible for an impact fee waiver, it's these people.
Do we know what the impact fee would be on this, Kathy?
It would, I calculated it based on what the impact fee currently is, that's in the report. Excuse me. However, as a condition of approval, I would recommend that it would be based on the impact fee that is in effect at the time of the issuance of certificates of occupancy, so that if there is an increase, an overall increase in impact fees, they would be subject to that.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Okay. Kathy, have you reviewed the ordinance the city has on impact fees and what the guidelines are to the planning board?
I go through it all the time.
Okay, because I know we're taking it up as a city, okay? Because there's some concerns over that, so that's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, we've got a motion on the floor. Does anybody else have any comments on this? Stacy, I see you reading. Do you have any, you want to say anything?
Well, I don't actually, at first I thought we're adding 12 people that are gonna use the services, and we need that impact fee, but on the other hand, those 12 people are probably already getting them. So, this is, I think I'm with Mike on where this does seem like they deserve the waiver, because this is not,
Okay. Anybody else?
but I'm not certain on the 100%.
You're not certain on 100%.
They asked for 60%, didn't they?
It's,
Yeah.
it's
The
not
request was
100%.
to
Okay,
waive
sorry.
60% of the impact fee. I'm not a voting member, but I am a member of this board.
We know that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying, okay, well, I just think that the 60% request
Is reasonable?
is what is in the waiver request.
And you,
Thank you. I
So
was
that's what
looking
we're
at
talking
that.
about here.
and so, do you think that's reasonable?
I
That's
do
what I'm
think that's,
asking.
I
Okay.
do, well, actually, yeah, I do think the 60% waiver request, we're gonna get something.
Okay.
The people
Not
don't
waiving
pay
it
this.
completely.
I realize
The
that.
people are not paying
Yeah,
this.
we
fee,
realize that. That's
okay?
the,
We realize that.
the builder is paying that. Okay, nonetheless, anybody else have any comment on that? We're talking about the impact fee of 60% that they're asking to waive, and you've made a motion not to do that. And that's been seconded. Any other comments quickly?
Has it been seconded?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to deny the waiver of the impact fee, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed? 1, 2, 3. So the motion to deny the waiver of the impact fee passes. Okay, what's the next one? Anybody else have anything else on these conditions?
Mr. Chair, the only thing I would say is that in the site plan regulations compliance review, and I don't know if we're taking these
Can you
one at a time.
speak into your mic there,
I'm s-
please?
I-
Thank you.
There is a discussion about taking.
No, you don't have to
You
push
just-
it.
Oh, okay. There is a discussion about taking these in order, and I'm reading through these. But I do want to note that under site plan regulations compliance review, there is no provision, discussion provision for trash. She's got sidewalks, streets and access, stormwater, fire protection, water, sewer, septic, off-street parking and loading, non-municipal siting and lighting, but there's nothing in here that addresses.
We've
Trash
talked
removal.
about the trash, and I believe that it's gonna be 4 and 4, correct? 4 trash, 4 recyclables, which is the maximum amount allowed. We discussed that earlier. That's how it is on that, so, go ahead, Rob. Or not. Is anybody, you gonna say something, Rob, or you look like, or just
I
if
mean,
you,
it's gonna get checked constantly, so it's not like trash is gonna be piling up on the front lawn.
okay, anybody else? Yep,
I'm gonna make a motion to approve application 2023-0091 SP 0092 CUP, 0093 CUP for performance zoning, with the recommended conditions as outlined by the staff, with the addition of the following 2 conditions. The property shall for 99 years be income restricted, and a dumpster shall be placed on site and screened from view from the public.
Second.
That was a second?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Question?
Sure.
Can you just repeat your last sentence?
A dumpster shall be placed on site and screened from public view.
Thank you. Okay. That was the reason why we did the trash cans the way we did it. Thank you.
Again, I would support that. If I was a voting member, I would support that. That's reasonable. No, that's a reasonable request, dumpster screening.
I know if you say that you support it, that if you were voting, you would be voting yes. So
I
just-
would be, but
I
I'm
know,
not
I
voting,
just,
but I am saying that that's
Thank you for
reasonable,
your
that's a
opinion.
reasonable accommodation for what's on the table right now.
go ahead, Bob, you had something you wanted to say?
No,
Okay. So, has that motion been seconded?
No.
Okay, I missed that, thank you. So that has been seconded.
Discussion among the board.
Any other discussion on this? Staff?
We have no more comments.
No more comment. All right, again, as we've said before, that there's gonna be people happy and not happy, and they will take whatever course they want to after this meeting. But the reality is that there's been a lot of work put in this, and it's certainly a lot of conversation. And we will move on to many more projects after this, so it'll probably generate a lot of conversation on both sides of the fence then, too. But in any event, we'll go ahead now with that motion. So all those in favor of the motion to accept this with the conditions applied, raise your hand, please. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the affirmative. Those against? And 1 against. Okay, thank you very much. Again, I thank everybody for giving their thoughts on this, and I am sure that the applicant will be moving in the right direction with this. And I thank everybody out there. It's always so sad to see the whole audience disappear.
It's fantastic, actually. What I do is,
You want to take a 5-minute recess? Yeah. Is the,
I could do that anyway.
is it okay if the board, we just take a quick recess here? 5 minutes, because we just came from one meeting to the next meeting, and so,
Do you want to make I'll make a motion to take a 5-minute recess?
second?
second, that's fine, second.
Second, I don't think, okay, no, we'll just do it, okay.
Go do what you need to.
So bear with us, everybody, we're just taking a 5-minute recess here. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody, for indulging us there.
Me anyway.
Okay, so, let's see here. So our next one is PL, it's 7.3, PL 2023-0084 SU 50 Brittany Lane, a proposal to waive the sidewalk construction on an approved four-lot subdivision.
Wait a minute.
Did I miss somebody?
We
Skip?
missed 6.2.
Rules and procedures? Are we doing that at the end again?
Yeah, let's do that.
Meaning we won't do it again?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get through these applicants.
Maybe for Christmas.
That's my fault. I apologize. Okay, so let's move along on this 7.3. So is there the applicant here that's asking for this waiver?
We are all here.
Talk about
Basically, we are
stacking a
the
deck.
neighbors.
Can we have everybody's name
Yep.
and address?
Radcliffe,
Ray,
Paradise Drive.
Ray Spinoza on Paradise Drive.
Paul Gillis, Paradise Drive.
Thank you.
And basically what we're here for is to get you guys to approve a waiver to the sidewalk condition for our four-lot subdivision that was approved. And what we did is put together some information that may not have had at the last subdivision.
I don't suppose you brought a,
I-
we have
It's
it
in
in
your
here.
packet, you have a bunch of pictures
Okay,
in the
well, I was
packet.
hoping to have something for the audience again, if people, no,
You have the-
Amy, people on YouTube,
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Want me to hold it up to the camera?
Well, you know, you-
Be Vanna. Always wanted to be Vanna. All right,
you
not
ever work
really.
at those wrestling shows and walk around with a number up?
Definitely not gonna be me.
I can ask a question, Charlie? or-
I know you are.
I'm just trying to get to that,
Yeah, there was a letter there that we included, as well as the pictures of both streets that are involved. And basically, it's a four-lot subdivision. And like I said, we're the abutters to those subdivisions.
We're all neighbors. We wanted to keep it away from the developers. We just want the open space.
Joe, can I ask a
Off
question?
Massachusetts Avenue?
Yes,
It's out at
yes.
corner of Mass Ave and Brittany Lane.
Okay, I know.
And the bottom line, again, the case is, at that point on Mass Ave, it goes to a dead-end street, as you know, down to the lake.
Right.
Okay, and Brittany is also a dead-end street. And also, there are no sidewalks anywhere in that area. The sidewalks stop at Sheridan, which is like 615 feet away from the end of Mass Ave. Okay? And it's on the other side of the street. Our lots are on the other side of the Mass Ave, on the left side going down. The sidewalks that go to Sheridan are on the right side. And all of the side street, Knott Street, Sheridan, Arlington, none of them have sidewalks. The other thing that we have a problem with is when that street was put in, the drainage on that street is well below the level of the street. To put sidewalks in there, you're gonna have to modify that drainage. You can't put the sidewalks. Also, we have some pretty mature trees there. There are willow trees, there are birch trees that would have to be removed and gone down. And that changes the whole look of the area. And that drainage has worked well for the neighbors. It has kept the rain, because it is a hill, but that street is perfectly flat.
how many houses are on the street?
Right now on Brittany, let's see, 1,
2, 3.
Three
On
houses.
One trailer and 2 houses.
And if you walk down there to where it becomes a dead end, the property that's on the dead end, is that private property?
it is, it's a condominium.
Okay, so
And
there's no access, there's no access down to the lake or anything?
No. And like I said, the other way is a dead end down to the lake as well.
But it's
So-
private property?
No,
On the other
Mass
end?
Ave is not. Mass Ave is
No,
public.
no, but I mean where these,
All private
Yes,
property.
yes, that's correct.
in other words, you're not choking off, or, there's no public access to the water through that property?
Pump station is there.
Yep.
So, like I said, that's some of the reasoning for it, is basically the effect that you're gonna have on green space, the willow trees, the birch trees, the pine trees. And the city's gonna have to pave that, plow that sidewalk.
That's not our worry. So the,
Not our worry, right.
much to somebody else's complaint. So this tree right here looks like a willow tree. Oops, sorry.
Yes,
That's one of the trees you're
that's
talking about.
correct.
Because
And
the
if you
su-
see,
the-
yeah, the drain is quite low there in that spot too.
Yeah.
So to put a sidewalk there, you're
Well, you
gonna have to
would-
take down the tree.
Well, it would probably impede the roots there and stuff,
Yeah.
so.
There's birches too.
Yeah, there's other pictures there that show birch trees that would be removed as well.
Good photos. Good photos to prove your point, you know what I mean? Yeah, right there. Some of the board members may remember my thoughts about birch trees.
You thought about a big maple.
Hey,
Yeah.
what's your thought on birch trees?
I'm sorry?
What's your thought on birch
He's
trees?
passionate about them.
Oh, do you love the state tree?
It's a state tree.
I'm aware.
Thank you. Go ahead, Counselor Susie.
May I ask a member of the audience a question and related to this?
Sure.
Wes, can you come up, please?
I already asked Wes, just so you know, to be prepared for this, and he's not in favor of this.
Well, of course he's not in favor.
Of course, he's not in
I-
favor.
Yes.
Okay, so what is your situation related to drainage for us?
Basically, that's one of the real old roads in the city, dates back to the 1900. There is that development there. For the most part, the drainage is overland drainage going down to the lake. So if you're gonna put sidewalks or any improvement that's gonna have a damming effect on it, you're gonna have to figure out where the changes of drainage is and how you're gonna rectify that portion.
Okay, and then we'd have to tear up a lot.
Again, without surveying, I couldn't tell you, but I suspect you would have to.
Okay, so to
The only
the,
drainage in that area is what you've got on Massachusetts Ave.
okay, to gentlemen, the sidewalks that you do not want to put in, right now, they will not connect to any other sidewalks, am I right?
Right?
Okay, and you're putting in lots for homes or for residences.
There'd be
Not
4
for
lots.
homes.
There'd be 4 lots, yes, we're looking to break it down into 4
We're not
lots.
reselling, these are keeping them for our own use.
Okay, and the reason you're asking for a waiver on the sidewalks is because of our zoning laws, that we're asking that wherever you build,
Right.
we want to put sidewalks in. We're hoping to connect people.
I understand, but like I said last time, I don't think the people appreciated what was needed to happen to put them in.
I just want to get clarity on the drainage, because my biggest worry was the drainage.
Yeah, and it was ours too, because it affects the area. The other thing
Thank
is
you,
the
Wes.
drainage is working well. That street in the winter, it's plowed, it's wide, it's 25 feet wide, it's level, the kids use it. I mean, it's great.
Thank
So
you.
to change it,
Well, I don't necessarily worry about sidewalks not connecting, but I think you've made a very good point here. Go ahead.
I just wanted to remind the board, I remember this applicant, and I believe there were 4 of us that said that we did not want a sidewalk there.
Okay. Yes, Ron?
Could I also remind the board, I believe it was at the same meeting as this one, that we required a gentleman up on Endicott Street, that was just about up to Meredith, to put a sidewalk in that also connected to nowhere.
As I just stated, that is not an issue that I have personally. And that's on a busy road, a highway, where there is a safety concern for pedestrians along that road there. So I think there's a really apples and oranges here.
On that same token, this is in a urban compact where normally sidewalks would be required.
That is correct, and I appreciate that. I
Just
will expect
relaying the
you to vote-
facts,
I will
Mr.
expect you
Chairman.
to vote, I expect you to vote backing that up, so thank you.
I will.
Water here.
Water.
Okay.
Does that mean not?
Is there any other comments on this? Staff, do you have any recommendations?
I honestly would recommend the waiver.
You'd recommend the waiver, okay. Any other comments? Okay, entertain a motion one way or the other?
I'll make a motion.
Provision to,
Well, bring it up when we have, after we get the motion. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the waiver.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, comments.
Don't we have a
Mike,
provision?
Mike.
I'm sorry. Don't we have a provision where, when we waive sidewalk fees, that they make a donation to the sidewalk fund?
That never got put in.
Not yet, but I
We
think
haven't
we
done
should
that
have
yet.
one.
Yeah, I haven't had time
I
with
think we
that.
should have one.
We haven't done that yet. I would like to see that done at some point, but it has not been done yet.
Because the board never put, it keeps getting brought up, but it
Yeah,
doesn't.
because I agree with these fellows that a sidewalk in that area is not necessary, it'd be a economic waste, but the city can use the funds
Yeah.
to improve a
Doesn't that have to
sidewalk
fall under an ordinance somewhere?
up on Elm Street, let's say.
I believe it
the rest
actually
of the
has to
city.
be on that street. So if you're never gonna put sidewalks in there,
I don't
that
know.
money's gonna be in escrow forever.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's something that the city council could look at, to,
That's why I said it's gotta be part of an ordinance, I
yeah.
believe.
So that's something that I would look to our representative from the city council here to, because this is not the first time this has come up. And it should be addressed, because it's a valid way to help with the funding of sidewalks throughout the city. Because there will be incidents like this where it doesn't make sense. Any other commentary? We have a motion.
Charlie, if I may?
Yeah, go ahead.
Kathy, did you already look into that for if you're allowed to use it outside of your street?
There isn't a fund established.
No, I understand, but is it legal?
It hasn't gotten that.
It hasn't gotten that far. Thank you. That's all.
Again, that would be the city council, come up with the ordinance, and then they can,
But I think we'd have to find out if it's even legal to start with, to use it
Well-
outside of that.
again, that would be, yeah,
Section or
and that's
road or
something the
whatever.
city council would have to come up with, and I would look forward to them doing, because I remember when I first came on this board, I think it was before, it might have been even before, you were downstairs, and I think this was over, you were probably
The
here.
last one we approved was over on Arch Street when that housing development went in over there.
Yeah,
And there was a certain amount of, they requested the waiver for sidewalks.
right.
And we had a cost analysis done of how much it would cost per square foot for sidewalk. And that amount of money was put into escrow specifically for Arch Street.
Right, but I'm going back a lot further than that, maybe 8, 9 years ago,
2009.
when it was up, well, it may not matter, but it was done. And that was back up there on the Shore Drive extension up in that area where they took the money and it went into a fund and it didn't have to be, it was used somewhere else. There was no, it wasn't earmarked specifically for that area, I'm just saying. So, either way. Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I do have a question.
Yep.
Can you retroactively change where that money goes?
Could say
Assuming you
that
put
again?
in an extra for that street, can you retroactively change it?
I don't know.
I believe anything that has to do with funds has to go through the city council,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah, not us.
money, that's all.
Right.
Go ahead.
Do we have a sidewalk plan for the city at all? Because to me, it just seems like this regulation is just haphazardly requiring us.
Right there.
That's on the agenda.
Tyler,
tonight.
right there, city council, okay? All right, we have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded. All those in favor of, all those, gentlemen, all those in favor of the motion to grant the waiver, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those opposed, raise your hand. 1. Abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
And 1 abstention. Thank you, gentlemen.
Live up there.
Thank you very much. Take care of those trees up there.
Amen. It's our neighborhood.
All right. Okay,
I know that.
so now we have, I lost everything. Here we go.
Chairman of the.
Okay. Wes has been here forever, so why don't we jump past presentations and new business and go to number 10, old business, Wes? And this is any questions and answering regarding sidewalks with the Director of Public Works. So Tyler, I think you had a question right off the bat.
Yeah.
What is the plan?
Yeah, what is the plan for? Okay.
There isn't.
We've downgraded, no more PowerPoints?
There is, but what I did is I pulled it out of the slide, so that's the one for the discussion points.
Thank you.
So, again, this is questions, and this is the recommendation slide that was in that PowerPoint. So I brought it for here, so to help frame your questions.
Sharing one over there.
There's the next one here.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie?
Okay, so these are the recommendations. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't
Go ahead, Amy.
understand.
What he's saying is that
How difficult would this
this here. right now,
undertaking be to have a
We would have
master
to
plan?
hire a consultant if we're gonna do the whole city.
yes, I think
We
So
can
that would be a
take it-
CIP thing?
Pardon? It
Through
would
CIP?
be, but we'd have to get enough support that, from the planning board, that we're willing to put the time and effort into it, because it would also be part of the planning board's effort, because it'd be tied into the actual development of the master plan.
Could I say, is this consistent with our existing master plan? Wes?
It would- What you'd have is your master plan, you'd have a subcomponent, which an element of it would be the sidewalk master plan.
Kathy,
Wes,
Go ahead, Bob.
what you're saying here basically is that you're still developing the master plan.
We haven't put any money for it, because we haven't got any, well, let me phrase that. We've put in money for it for a certain area. We haven't got any takers on that piece, so I haven't put in the money for a complete master
But
plan.
if you had a complete master plan, you'd have a sidewalk areas.
We would have those areas that are gonna get sidewalks, those areas that won't get sidewalks, and we'd have a definition of what type of areas in the future would not get sidewalks.
Okay, so if somebody came in to build a home or do anything, and it was in a sidewalk area, they'd either have to give money to have it built when we did them all, or did it in that area, or go without until then.
Right. Best idea that I thought, and we'll talk Endicott Street East and North. The thought process that in the recommendation I did was that we should, for isolated sidewalks, we should not have them build it. We should be taking the money and going to the last point the sidewalk ended, and
Right,
keep
and
extending.
Keep it extending it.
Right.
Correct.
And then keep working our way there. When you isolate it, there's no way to get to it safely, especially on Endicott Street East, because my equipment's so low speed. But we've got sidewalks right now that basically go up to Cumberland Farms area. The next step probably should be getting it up towards Keller House in that area, and then we can keep on going, and likewise going the other way. So
But you've
that's
got-
where,
You've got sections now, like in front of Fun Spot,
right.
and you've got, so when you're saying Kellogg's, you mean up in that direction?
Correct, but because it runs out basically at Cumberland Farms up by Tower Hill, and we should be marching our way up to make the connection to Fun Spot.
But
Rather
in-
than try to keep building isolated sidewalks, we should try to make a linkage of existing sidewalks.
But in the meantime, you've got now somebody coming at you from the other end, up there by Roller Coaster Road.
The campground.
Campground, right.
The RV park there, they're gonna be
Yeah.
putting a section in there.
But the problem comes in is, what is their target audience going to, and how many people are gonna be walking towards that target
Well,
audience?
that's a
That's
question with any
irrelevant.
sidewalk.
That's why we would probably get more takers, initially by building it from where it ends at Cumberland Farms towards Keller House in that way.
Well, maybe, Wes, but there's an awful lot of people up there that walk. You've got all those businesses there, not just the race car park, but you've got a beer place there, a pizza place there. You've got, people walking up the sidewalk to go to Fun Spot, or maybe walking down to go to the is it not the Tamarack? Is that what that's called? The
Yeah.
lobster place? Or going, to any of those places up there.
I understand, but part of the problem, part of the reason why you're gonna have to have the master plan is when you go through something like Tamarack's parking lot, it cannot be a sidewalk that's part of the parking lot. So you're gonna have to put in a concrete raised curb sidewalk that goes across the parking lot. A master plan would start the process of starting the conversation with all these businesses and condo associations, as you look at Weirs Boulevard, who are gonna lose access to certain parking, or will have more difficulty to access to those parking.
So Wes, you've you've obviously spoken, I've heard you speak at city council or before us before, with regards to not having the staff or the equipment. So has city council been, like, sympathetic with that, and are they allocating any more money for you?
Basically, the only allocation I've ever gotten is the additional allocation associated with the tax cap increases, which really is, I mean, for the most part, when we got the 4%, 6% we got for this year, was about $30,000, not even enough to pay for an additional employee. That's the facts of the piece to it. So if the council, if the planning board and the council, excuse me, yes, I said it right. Planning board and council decide this is what they want to do, it's got to be resourced. So it's not just resource for construction, it's resource for the maintenance aspect.
Well, I will say that, as you know, my office used to be on Union Avenue, and going up through the weirs as much as I do, there was a time when those were never plowed. As a matter of fact, they used Weirs Bridge as a snowmobile path there. None of that stuff was ever plowed, and I do salute you that, you know, in the last number of years, you've gotten to that, and even if it's 4 days after a storm, people understand that, and they're just so relieved to see it get plowed. I can't imagine anybody expecting sidewalks other than from, downtown business areas or Lakeport, that expect their sidewalks to be plowed immediately, especially after a heavy snowstorm. So I commend you and your department for doing that, because people notice that.
Right now, what we do is once the heart of the city is done, we'll move a piece of equipment up to Weirs Boulevard, and we'll do it from basically Cumberland Farms on that side of the road all the way to the fire station, post office area. Then we do Lakeside Avenue on the arcade side, because we can't get any of the equipment down the lakeside, it just doesn't fit.
Right, well, you wouldn't, on the boardwalk and stuff, right, that makes no sense.
People should shovel their own sidewalks.
Charlie, I'm gonna ask,
Go ahead, Gail.
I'm gonna make an assumption here, and if I'm wrong, correct me, that when you're doing a construction project, like we approved a campground, a significantly sized campground up there with a parking lot, with a sidewalk, that it's a lot cheaper to put the sidewalk in during the construction phase than it is to go back and put it in after the fact. Would you say that's correct?
Not necessarily, because if you're doing a lot of sidewalk as part of an extension, you're probably getting the same mass value cost-wise as you would for doing that RV park.
Yeah.
It really more depends upon how much length of sidewalk you're doing is where you get your cost savings. So if you tie it in with the RV park, your cost would be lower, but if you tie in that same amount of distance with another sidewalk project, your cost will be lower.
You get more for the same money.
Yeah.
So doing it your recommended way, we collectively as a city would get more bang for the buck by giving the city the money and not, that we would normally, I guess, guesstimate how much it cost would be to add a sidewalk to a particular project, and then just some level, your discretion would be used, or the master plan's discretion would be used as to where you would construct that sidewalk. And I'm guessing you have pedestrian statistics and police statistics and traffic things that you would consult to know where the best place in the city that doesn't have a sidewalk would be to get one.
That would be Weirs Boulevard.
And I'm not gonna disagree with that, Charlie, I'm just trying to
Well,
figure out.
the thought process, and I'll just big picture wise, is Endicott Street east and north would be one region.
Okay.
So anybody who builds in that one region, that money would be used in that region. So if it's either Endicott Street east or north, and the piece say we get 100,000, and well, we would just use that 100,000 to take it from the end of where it exists and keeps working out.
Okay, I think Bob had a question.
No, I'm all set. for
Okay,
now.
Mike?
Wes, when we approved 195 units up on Providence Street, and John Ruku held us over the fire and said, if we don't give them a sidewalk waiver, it could be a deal breaker. But they assured, Dean said, I assure you that money will go somewhere and get used. What happened to that? Did it
In
disappear?
that particular case, you're gonna have a hard time on Province Street extending to get out to there. And that's just because some of the houses are so close, you'll never really get buy-in from the property owners to continue the construction of those sidewalks.
Is that something the city can take by eminent domain?
Could, if the city's willing to do that.
Okay. Rob, you had a question?
Kathy, do we have any funds for master plan development?
Just looking at the budget now, so I can't answer that question. I don't think there was anything put in last year, but the budget process for 2024-25 fiscal year, we're just starting to look at that, so.
I mean, I just think it would be nice to have a comprehensive master plan done and a chapter added specifically for the sidewalks and for bike paths of where we want them in the city. And then we have that chapter adopted and we can do actual land use regulations, site plan and subdivision that reference back to that of where we want the sidewalks and the money and how we want that escrowed or, so it'd be a smooth process.
Okay. One thing I wanted to say, I agree with Rob 100%, is that a lot of you are well-traveled on this board, and I've spent some time walking in a number of European cities where they have combined bicycle paths and pedestrian walkways. Leipzig is a city that.
You mean like on Main Street?
But I'm saying they're both not in the travel lane for vehicles.
They're doing that on the
And in the place like the Weirs, you could have bicycle patrols that do enforce that. In some European cities, you absolutely get enforced that, and you pay hefty fines for speeding on a bicycle, for riding a bicycle and they're colored, they're clearly marked. You gotta, you know what I mean? You don't even need a language barrier to understand where you're supposed to walk, where you can ride a bicycle. Is that feasible to do something like that going forward?
You would have to talk to the police department about that.
Well, but I don't mean the enforcement, but I'm saying a dual-purpose sidewalk that.
Master plan.
That's
They-
part of the
How big
master
the
plan.
road
That-
is.
That would have to be part of the master plan, because then you're gonna have to determine, a lot of those places have done it, because they've purposely reduced the amount of vehicles that can travel on it. For example, if you wanted to do that in Union Avenue, you're giving up your middle turn lane.
I understand that.
So there's trade-offs to that. That's why I said it's gotta be a master plan. Now,
There's a
the one-
trade-off in everything.
Yep, there's one piece I do want to stress, though. In the heavily urbanized area, there may be areas that you don't want sidewalks because you can't park your cars on it. And unless you're gonna enforce it,
No, I get it.
don't put the sidewalks there, you know.
Oh, you mean like Messer Street?
Pardon?
You mean like Messer Street?
Messer Street,
mess.
Baldwin Street.
Emerald.
I'm being
Winter.
sarcastic,
Yeah.
obviously, because that is something that happens every winter,
Yep.
as you
Actually,
know.
it happens in the summertime.
In the summertime too, yep.
Yeah, I live on Lafayette Street. It's a dead end. It's got a sidewalk on one side, and there's parking all along that sidewalk.
Well,
And
Messer Street is not a
That is
dead
what
end.
it is.
Messer
You
Street,
know, I mean, I'm sorry. We live in a city.
Gail, Messer Street is not a dead end,
So
and
couldn't,
people
Lakes
abuse
Region
that all the
Planning
time.
Commission be asked if there's a grant or anything that could?
There's
help?
always a match to those. So the question comes in, does the city council, have the monies as part of the CIP process to match the grant?
Got you,
Okay.
okay.
So don't go asking for a grant unless you're willing to pay for your share. It's
Got it.
embarrassing when you have to turn it down because you can't get your share.
Okay, anything else for Wes? And I do appreciate, the poor guy, he's been here 2 or 3 times to
Never
make
got
this presentation, and he sits through the meetings.
I do have one last, and that's, we
Please.
have been removing sidewalks in some of the urbanized areas in the city because people have been parking on it so much. We ask them, do you want the sidewalk or you want parking? And they tell us parking, so we take the sidewalk away.
Where has that been?
Let's see, we did the first one on, I can't remember the name off.
Can you do Spring?
Pardon?
Can we just do Spring?
Yeah, but we also did one up off of Academy Street.
But is there a
dead ends.
is there a sidewalk on the other side of the
Nope.
street? So you're just taking away the only sidewalk?
We took away the only sidewalk, but it was a dead-end road, and the people, you couldn't use it anytime
got
because they
wider.
were parking on it.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Well, if the people are unhappy, they can complain, and if they're not complaining, then,
So you gotta be careful in the urbanized as you're going through it, determine are you creating a situation where people are gonna be parking on the sidewalk?
okay, any other questions for Wes? Wes, you have anything else while you're right there?
That's it.
In the interim, until we have a master plan done, could we do like could we get a list of streets or areas that you would prefer streets and, or sidewalks put in and not put in, so that,
I can work on that, and probably my priorities, at least for you, are gonna be my high-speed, heavily trafficked roads to get something on there.
I think just something.
Which is mainly Endicott Street East.
And where's Boulevard, Wes?
Where's Boulevard?
I know it's gonna be a nightmare, but Wes,
Well, the
Heavily
issue on that one is, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole until I get a plan developed and approved by the council.
I
because
understand that.
I know how much pushback I'm gonna have from all the adjacent property owners.
I know, but all you need to do is be on that road day or night or late at night and see the pedestrian just walking along there, and it petrifies me at nighttime, because these people are always walking with traffic wrongly, and they're always wearing dark clothes wrongly, and it's just a matter of time for bang, and it's awful. So, that's just, you know,
Maybe make Weirs Boulevard one way.
I have a question, so.
wouldn't matter.
Governor's Crossing
Been proposed.
is a two-part project?
Yeah,
So the first half is probably 99% built out, because that's the entrance now to the solar farm. So the second, he's in there working in the second half. Will that have a sidewalk that connects?
You won't have one that,
Because
the
he had to
the
put
two
side,
pieces that connect,
well, he
on
was
the-
required to put a sidewalk in for the first phase.
right.
But will he have to put one in for that second phase?
That's, I assume it is on it, because I'd have to go check it, because that dates back to the original development for the
that's-
first phase.
That's been years and years,
Yeah.
yes.
a long time.
Because he's in there now crushing and doing site work.
Yes, and we just had our pre-construction meeting for phase two.
Well, Wes, thank you very much for your patience all these months, and, seriously, and for coming in tonight.
Okay,
And I'm sure this conversation will continue from everywhere. Thank you. All right, if we may, so I'm just gonna, we don't have any other presentations tonight that I'm aware of? What-
The only,
Okay.
the only other discussion item that we have is rules of procedure.
The what?
We still have Sundown.
Sundown.
Is still waiting in the,
Well, that's down there on correspondence. I'm up there on number 8, asking for presentations on number 8.
That's
No
nothing.
presentations, okay. Is there any new business? That would be number 9.
No.
No new business, okay. So we've gone past 10.1, the correspondence. Now we're on 11, so we're on 11.1, correspondence from Sundown referencing 224 Endicott Street East Development. And I see a hand waving back there, so come on up.
Wait,
Go ahead.
before we do that,
We have to accept that, or no?
no, I wanna ask a question to the planning director.
Okay.
Is the planning board the correct board to handle enforcement actions?
No.
So this matter should actually go before city council,
Which one are we talking about? This,
Sundown.
this Sundown correspondence.
May I ask, what's the,
can we,
I haven't heard of it.
should we hear it at all, or tonight, or not?
You don't have to, we can wait, come to us.
I think the appropriate measure would probably be send them to city council.
Okay.
Oh, my God, that's so painful. That guy's been standing up there, sitting back there.
Only for 2 hours.
Because the board, we
Almost
actually
2
have
hours.
no power to do anything for, I mean,
Is it worth explaining in any event, though?
I'd love
I
to
mean-
hear from him.
If he wants to, yes, we can hear him.
I can-
So we may not be able to do anything, but if you want to still make your presentation.
Actually, yes, Mark Ranoff, 41 Nestledown Drive, the president of Sundown. Within your agenda, there's the communication or the
Right.
correspondence. I'm here basically to, follow up on that because Charles Miley, the board member who provided that to Kathy, is back to Texas, so he's not here. However, I'm here to follow up because there was an action that the planning board director put forth either in August.
Planning Department. Not the planning board, the planning department.
Sorry, planning department. She put forth a requirement that the third-party engineering team, Dubois and King, was required you to go and do a final review. On September 5th, they sent correspondence showing there were several deficiencies. This package that Charles put together documents some of those deficiencies and photographs. They're in your package. And we're basically wondering where we are. The action was put forth by the planning director, and we've not heard the resolution of this, and it affects Sundown. The imagery that's in your package shows, that some of the system is maybe not properly implemented. We don't know if it's been corrected. Dubois and King recommended they do some corrective action. And, so we're kind of waiting to hear. We're not looking for, issues right now with financial reciprocity or anything like that. We're wanting to know what the status is. Has the Dubois and King third-party team approved this or not?
They have, yes.
They have?
Yes.
Okay. Would Sundown be able to get copies of the approval?
Yep, you can come to the office and be happy to provide you with copies, or give us a call and we can email them to you.
Okay, so does that imply that the sixth certificate of occupancy has been granted?
Yes. Mhm.
It does, okay. So, anyhow, so this is why I'm here. We're trying to find out where we're at.
Okay.
We're taking action to repair the foundation washout that, that was over the last year that you saw from April 19th. They had submitted to the planning department imagery of that. We're trying to take action on that, and we really hope that, the system, if it's all resolved, that the quality assurance provided by the city will ensure that it's good, and we're not gonna have any more damage. So.
Fair enough.
Kathy, how long ago did Dubois and King do that final inspection? Do you know?
Oh,
A couple of months now, I
no,
think.
no.
Further than
It's
that?
very recent.
Okay.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
They've got an excavator parked there, and I see them almost daily. They're down in there pawing around. He's got cloth over places he's dug up on the side of the road. Every time it rains, I think they do a little more.
That's erosion control cloth, so,
What's that?
that's erosion control cloth.
Yeah. It looks like they're digging and trying to fix things, and as it erodes.
Well, my understanding is, and I don't have it in front of me, obviously, but we did have a request from the applicant to send Dubois and King out for the final inspection. They did go out and they did the final inspection and said that everything had been constructed according to the plan, and that the system was complete. They basically signed off on it, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Bob.
were you aware of that?
No. That they had done a
Right.
final inspection? No, I was not aware.
So you're gonna get what Kathy has, and then you'll go talk to the other party? Is that what you're gonna do?
Well, at this point, we'd like to see the report. We've been following this for 2.5 years or so, and we've had some significant washout on our foundations and the buildings that abut that hill. We want to get some relief for the homeowners there.
Well, we can't, from the city council point, I don't know if we can grant relief.
Well, no, we want to see the water flow
Right,
correct.
you wanna see that report. and
Yeah,
then
we
you
want
can
to
go
see
speak
that,
with-
and we're hoping that what's been approved or assessed to be adequate is going to be adequate.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with this area, but there's a wonderful system of conduits, streams, piping, culverts that bring the water from 11B down partly through Sundown and partly through other chases that run down and go to the ravine that's off east of Ashley. And when that system's running, the water just runs, and
Everybody's happy.
lot of thought went into that whenever that neighborhood was originally designed. Now we have this big hill where, there's a lot of foundation material and driveways and so forth, not absorbing water anymore, and we're hoping that this is gonna work. I mean, if the detention pond is there, it's very small. I don't know if they've planted all the shrubberies and trees they're supposed to plant, but we're concerned that this is gonna continue. I'm hoping it's gonna go behind Sundown and not affect our property, but,
Well, the department's on top of this, so,
If they've already, and Du Bois and King have done their work, then you gotta see what the outcome is.
right, we'd like to see what the,
yeah. So you can just go down there tomorrow and,
Okay.
if you want, pick it up. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so the next, so I lost it here. So we have a planning department report.
Nothing to report. We've not been doing much of anything with, minor site plan review or administrative reviews. There's been discussion about a couple of things coming for administrative review, but they haven't materialized yet.
Okay. Must be the time of year. Who knows? I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
There's only been one minor site plan review committee meeting since I've been here.
Okay.
Just one.
So we have the liaison reports. Do we have anybody at the Lakes Region Planning Commission? I don't believe we do.
I'm a
do.
little bummed here. I looked for Scott's name on the list and he didn't go.
Okay.
If he's listening.
Hi, Scott. All right, we have the conservation. Now, I went to the last meeting. Kathy was there. And I don't know if Kathy has anything she wants to say, but I'll quickly say that they're looking for somebody from this board to be there as a representative of the board. Why they meet twice a month, I don't know, but they do meet twice a month. Maybe that'll change. But they said they would love if even one person went once during the month, and then somebody else from the board went the second time, for the second meeting. So I'm looking for volunteers. I don't think I have the authority to assign it to somebody, but.
It got assigned to me, so feel free.
It did get assigned to you?
Yes, it did.
Well, so, wait, you want me to assign her again? So,
Stacey, are you off that?
no, she's been doing it, state.
To let go is.
Yes, how long did you do that, Stacy?
3 years.
3 years, I was gonna say 2 years. That's a long time. And even if,
All of these actually.
She's good
for
at
yeah,
it now.
and even if,
Passionate.
and even if,
She's gonna make you do
even if we missed a meeting, and, if one person did it and they couldn't go twice a month, I'm sure that they would be thrilled to have somebody there. And I can understand it. So do we have any volunteers here?
Charlie, I would take one of those meetings. I've been in the process of the last 18 months of moving, relocating my house, which is, and downsizing an estate. And that's been overwhelming. And I'm hoping that within the next week, that process ends, and I will have more time on my hands. I will
So you're
commit.
just saying yes, right?
Well, I'm committed to one. I didn't realize they met twice a month. I
They
will
really do. It's,
I will commit to one.
it can be
If,
worked around.
and if somebody could work with me as an alternate, or perhaps pick up the second meeting.
Okay, so these meetings started at 6 o'clock?
And when do they generally meet?
First and third Wednesdays.
First and third.
First Monday, the third Monday.
I don't know why I have this.
Wednesday.
I don't know why
Oh,
I have
Wednesday,
this.
I'm sorry, not Monday, Wednesday. There's no city council meetings that night, and we don't have this board meeting that night. Anybody for the second one, and
They're not having a second one for this month, by the way.
say that again?
They're not
Gets
doing a second
canceled
one.
a lot.
They're not, it gets canceled a lot. All right, so we'll go with Gail then, and thank you, Gail, very much for that. And if Gail can't make it, she has a way to reach out to all of us. And if I'm around and I can go, I'll go. I mean, they're not painful. They actually do discuss pertinent stuff,
I've got to admit to knowing.
and they're very
little.
important.
No, I know that, and I've sat on a zoning board for 6 years, and I understand the importance of it, and I don't mind learning new things.
Okay, and as you know, when we look,
It is fascinating.
and we do look for their report, or their commentary on projects that come before us, so that's a good thing. I was gonna grab Tyler over there, but, because he has so much to learn. Yeah,
I'd like to
he has
thank
so
Casey
much to
for the
learn.
last 3
And
years.
he's just grabbing stuff out of the sky, so Tyler, we'll keep you in mind, that's all. But you do grab stuff out of the sky, I noticed that, so I like that, so. Okay, thank you very much, Gail, so, if you have any questions
Is that
about.
possible as to do as an alternate, though? That is my question.
I believe it is, because you'll just be reporting to the board.
Well, I understand that, but I don't vote.
Well, that's okay, that doesn't,
Vote tomorrow.
just stop it. Okay, city council, Bruce isn't here, but is there anything that you could think of from the city council? Okay, and the Historical District Commission, I will report that I had a brief out-of-table meeting with Councilor Susi here, and he assures me that they're gonna be acting on the recommendations from the Historical District Commission, so we can get that moving, hopefully quickly. Yes, Rob?
What's the recommendations for the Historic District Commission?
Well, we made the recommendation, it came before here, the council was not happy with some of the,
They revised the ordinance.
yeah, some of, they weren't in favor of, I'll be quiet.
My bad, I'm so rude.
So they weren't in favor of some of the items on the whole ordinance thing, so we went through that, the Historical Commission went through that, crossed out a lot of stuff, according to the concerns of the council, and that's what we're waiting for now, is for them to work on that and see where we stand on that.
Will that come back to planning board after it goes to the ordinance?
That I'm not familiar, Kalina is saying yes, but
Yeah,
the main
I
thing is
would
to have the
hope so.
council.
Right.
Right, so I will say, since we're discussing this, we really desperately need to get something going like this up on Lakeside Avenue. Because there's all kinds of things happening up there potentially, and it could be a really, I feel, a detriment to what we have on Lakeside Avenue. So it's just something to think about, and that's what we're gonna be talking about with the council. Because the commission, as it stands now, is very interested in getting something going up there too, on Lakeside Avenue, before we lose everything up there. That's it.
Old business?
Other business, we have other business? Yeah.
Back up,
Oh, wait, yeah.
Planning board rules and regs.
Wait a minute.
Back it up.
rules of procedure.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Rules and procedures, thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, you clearly did, because I did it.
Yes, that is back,
It shows up on the agenda as public hearing, it really isn't at public hearing yet, this is just a draft, and I wanted to get some input from the board. Basically, what I did was, there was a lot of really unnecessary language in the previous rules. There was a lot of duplication of language. Sections kind of repeated themselves. So I deleted all of that, excuse me. Deleted anything that was duplicated, removed language that was unnecessary. Added in some sections that really should be included, particularly when it comes to the order of business was never included in the previous version, so I did add that in. This, the planning board's rules of procedure from 2019? 1998, that was the last revision.
I was 48 years old then.
Included language for a process for compliance hearing. I left that in for the time being, but I have talked since doing this. I have talked with Joe Driscoll, the other attorney at Mitchell Municipal Group, and he really reinforced with me that whether the planning board adopts language like that or not into its rules of procedure, does not have any enforcement authority, and it should be deleted. So I've already got that marked here to come out. I don't know if people have had an opportunity to look through this draft. This is my final draft. Waiting for comments from the board members to see if there's any language that you want brought back into it.
Is that something we can do between now and the next meeting to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
So everybody's aware of that, they can reach out to Kathy on that? All right.
Oh, okay, so you don't wanna hear if I have a comment about it?
No,
I
just
can
go ahead and give it to her, we don't, yeah, because we'll go over it again anyway, so, okay. Is that okay, Kathy, then?
Typo.
Kathy, can I ask one more favor?
What's that?
Could you do some research for me and find out how we can limit or not get shoehorned into approvals for performance zoning?
Oh,
Would be-
that's on, I've been running, since I came as the interim, I've had a running list of regulatory changes that I was gonna recommend to the city, and also looking at the zoning ordinance, and performance zoning is there.
Because I think I'd like to
We wanna do it too, we wanna.
see if we could do, especially after today, that we.
You know, I've not ever seen a performance zoning ordinance like the one in Laconia. Typically,
It's great.
It's fantastic.
there's-
Winning.
Well, I mean, typically, you would, you set out what your goals are, which this does well, but then you know, if you do this, then you get to do this as well, instead of just this carte blanche. There's no kind of, no real standards to meet. It's really kind of,
Like a
Doesn't
free-
matter, parking,
It's like a
density,
free-for-all.
anything.
there you go.
The zone- This time the law was used the wrong way.
Correct, and I just want to correct that, so.
Some of us has recognized that and wanna change the whole thing.
Well, that,
because
if I
this was not
recall, that,
used.
the whole performance zoning came from the city council.
It was actually come from Mayor Engler.
That's correct.
Back during when we were doing master planning meetings.
That's correct, who,
The intention there was good.
The intention was good, and I think everybody meant well in how it was
But
brought.
it was, the loopholes were used in the wrong way this time.
Correct, and I think we just need to add some safeguards in there and some
Oh, I have to go.
more standards.
Yes.
okay,
It was a lot
Thank
of
you,
copy and
Kathy.
paste from, I can't remember what
all right,
community it was.
guys,
To adjourn.
focus, everybody, focus.
Capital always had access.
Yeah, I don't have my gavel.
Elena got it.
Come on, let's get out of here, all right?
Sorry,
So,
my bad,
and you can
my
all
bad.
continue this in the hallway. So, that's, we've done that. Is there any other business?
What's Wes telling me? Now,
What's that?
the campground, you know, when you have an opportunity to put a sidewalk in and you say, okay, no sidewalk, it's lost forever.
You should have said that to him while he was here. I agree with you, though.
You know?
Okay, thank you. I agree with you on that.
I agree.
I mean,
All right, motion to adjourn,
it's gone.
first, second, okay. All in favor? All right, thank you all, that passes. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you all very much for getting through everything we did tonight.
Praise be to God.
Exactly.